Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fit Chicks Chat. My name is Amanda Quinn. And on today's podcast, I have a very special guest joining us. I have Danielle Jean. She is the founder of Fearless Fitness, and she's also a graduate of our Fitness and Nutrition Expert certification. And I've invited Dani here because I want to be able to have her just share her story with you. It's such a empowering story and such an exciting story. And I just really want to be able to share that message. So Dani, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm so honored to have you here and have you just sharing your message. I want to start off by just having you kind of share with our listeners, if you don't mind, a little bit more about you and sort of your journey to getting certified. Because I think that message, when I read your message to us about where you were at in your life before you got certified and just why you decided to go this route, I think it was such a powerful thing for me. And I want to be able to share that with the world. So if you can just start off by just kind of introducing yourself and just sharing, like, where you're at in life before you got certified and why you decided to take this step, that would be amazing.
Absolutely. Thank you. As Amanda said, I'm Dani. I am from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. That's pretty exciting. I'm going to go back a little further than what got me started here. When I was younger, I loved fitness. There was not a time in my life that I was not active or didn't turn to activity to deal with stress and stuff like that in my life. And I always knew that that was something I wanted to. I mean, maybe when I was 6, I wanted to be a princess, but after that, it definitely went into I want to be the first female sideline trainer in the NFL. That was my goal. Like that's where I wanted to be.
Cool. I love that.
Yeah, I loved doing that. I took sports medicine all through school, really, really liked it. Then I realized it was way too much science than I thought and just kind of stepped back. I had some things happen when I was a teenager, you meet boys and things happen. And so I got away from that. And then I went to college and I met a man and I got married. Unfortunately, it was not a very good situation. So I completely lost touch with all of myself. He was a drug addict and very manipulative and abusive. And I completely lost every part about me that made me who I was before and who I wanted to be. I filed for bankruptcy. Long story there. But just kind of lost everything. So I divorced him and kind of started trying to get on with my life. Just didn't really, I met somebody new who's wonderful, but just didn't quite still feel like myself in the same sense as I did before. And last January, I believe it was, I started the 75 hard challenge going, just to bring a little bit of that activity back in my life and some focus and dedication. And I'm like, I forgot how much I love to do this. I miss this. And it kind of brought that little spark back. And so last March, I was on the hunt of trying to find some way I could make this more of a permanent thing. My 75 hard challenge, I had people doing it with me. And then I'm like, okay, people like this and they wanted to stay active after those 75 days were done. Let's do a 10,000 step a day challenge. And I had about 11 people doing that with me before I even found school. And I went, this is great. People love it. They love what I'm offering. And I wasn't even offering anything. I'm just like, if you want to come walking with me every day, come walking with me. This is what I'm doing. And it was always, I tried to be as encouraging as possible. And through that, I really found more of myself again. And I went, I have it. And then I found Fit Chicks. And the second I read about the program, I went, this is it. This is what I'm doing with my life. And it's completely changed everything about where I've come from. I feel the best I have felt in years. And it's a powerful experience to be able to say, I can now do things and still have the ability to, learn more and be able to provide more because I know more. So I am grateful to have found, you and Laura and everybody at Fit Chicks, and that I can finally say that I'm happy again and I feel like myself again. And that's huge.
Oh my gosh, I'm feeling like emotional, Dani. You're making me like
I'm
cry.
sorry.
I'm
I'm
so
sorry.
I'm no, it's you don't ever apologize. I'm saying it's just like I genuinely am just so happy to hear this because I think it's such a powerful message and it's such a powerful story. So thank you for sharing that. And I think
Okay.
there's so many people that are probably listening right now that have had maybe not the same pathway, but similar pathways where they feel like,
Yeah.
you lose yourself along the journey sometimes, right? And I know it happened to me when I first had my daughter. Like I kind of lost track of who I was, and
Yeah.
I was like a shell of who I was, becoming a mom. Like it's taking on a whole new identity. And yours is a different story, totally different. But I mean, the idea behind it, the concept behind just like you become the shell of the person that you
Yeah.
were, and you have to try to re-navigate back to who you were, is a process, and it's a big process. And a lot of times, unfortunately, not everybody has the chance to do that or has the ability to do that. And I think that that's amazing that you were able to find that pathway, and the fact that that was through joining Fit Chicks Academy and being a part of this journey as well. We're just honored to be a part of that with you. So
Thank
that's,
you. Yeah.
yeah, so thank you for sharing that. And now I think, when you think about your journey and you think about where you were 5 years ago versus where you are today, is it literally like mind blowing to you?
Uh, I don't even know if mind blowing is the right way to put it. It is so beyond that. So whatever's beyond mind blowing is really where I'm at.
It's like the next level of my mind being blown. It's like the whole universe exploded.
And that might seem excessive and like an over exaggeration to some, and I totally get it, but I'm just like, this is completely different. Like I never thought I could be at this point in my life where I'm doing something I love, first of all, and being able to help others, which is always been a huge goal of mine, and helping myself, finding myself and doing things for myself again on the way. That is something I never thought I was going to get to do in my life. So it's
I love that.
pretty great.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. And I think, it's probably one of the most, I guess, powerful things about being, I think, a coach. We always say that all of our coaches are heart-centered fitness professionals, right? So that's what
Absolutely.
we build, is a community of heart-centered fitness professionals that are out in the world sharing their message around fitness and nutrition and wellness and health and overall well-being, while spreading that healthy love, right? Like just doing it from a place of love and support, and not from a place of negativity, but always coming from this place of love and support. And I think when I think about that, and I think about the stuff that we get to do on a daily basis, that we get to help impact and change other people's lives, and we get paid to do that so that we can then take care of our families and our lifestyles and ourselves and everything else that goes along with that exchange, that transaction of exchange of energy, right? Because that's really what it is. It's an energy exchange of like, I will help you in this, and then you pay me, that then helps my family, and then it's all like this transactional thing. But the fact that in the end result is that you're really making impact in someone's life, and it's impacting your life, is just, I don't know, I feel like it's the greatest reward ever. And we talk about this a lot, Laura and I, and we talk about the idea that, it brings us so much joy to know that like we've helped tens of thousands of women from all over the world change their health, and then change their health of their communities and their families and their friends and everything else by doing something that we get to love to do. We get to wake up every day
Absolutely.
and love it. Now,
Yeah.
would you think, when you think about your journey and you think about, the people that you meet along your journey, your clients that you're working with, do you find that a lot of your clients are kind of at this place where they're just starting out on their journey, and they're kind of a like where you were at, maybe again not from the same journey, but like the same feeling of like, I've kind of lost myself in the chaos of life, and now I have to refind that path or that joy or whatever it is that's missing?
Absolutely. And I think and that's part of who I want to. I want to know, like, I want to help everybody. If I could help everybody, I'd help everybody.
Yeah.
But it's definitely the people that have had either something happen in their life, either it's been traumatic to them, or just something's happened, or they've kind of lost touch with themselves. And I think at one point in time or another, we all do that. We all lose touch of who we are, going through one thing or another thing. And I definitely, for my clients, it's absolutely that way. There have been either recent move, or a separation, or a job loss, or an unhealthy situation they're trying to better themselves from. And so it's definitely, I get to see myself in so many of my clients, that I understand where they're coming from. And maybe I'm terrible when it comes to consultations. All of them are over 2 hours, because I love talking, but I love hearing about people and how we connect and how I can help. And that is, I feel such a strong connection to the intellectual, like the personal piece of it. that it's just, I will do whatever I can to help you as long as you help me and help yourself along the way. I just, it's definitely that, yeah, I've been in your shoes. And I think having a coach that can say, I understand where you're coming from and actually mean it is
Mm.
super valuable.
I agree. I agree. And I think, and this is one of the pieces of advice that we actually share with a lot of our students in the academy is, coach what you know. You can learn so much, but when you can experience it, like when we have clients that come to us or students that come into our academy that say, well, I'm in my 60s and will anyone hire me? And I'm like, of course. There's so many
Yep.
people probably in their 60s that are looking to either get started on their health journey or have lost themselves along the way or that are looking to up the ante or whatever. And so, yes, and speak about what that feels like going through menopause or things like that. Right. And it's like when you can speak from that journey in that place. I remember after I had my daughter, I was looking to hire a coach and I wanted to hire a coach for postnatal coach because I didn't really want to plan it for myself. I was really busy being a mom and running a business and doing all these things that I
Yeah.
was like, I just want someone to tell me what to do and what to eat. And I looked into a bunch of different coaches. And I remember there was this one coach I really wanted to hire, but it was a male coach. And again, gender means nothing. But when it came to that, I felt like, do they really know what it feels like to have had a C-section and the trauma to my body and to all of those things? They might
Yeah.
scientifically know it, but do they truly know it? Right. And I
Uh,
think that impacted my decision because I felt like being able to talk to someone who had went through a similar journey as me and a healing process as me allowed for me to feel that much more connected. So I agree with you 100% that if you can create that connection and that bond because you have a similar kind of journey or pathway, it allows for you to it just allows for you to shape that relationship in a different way.
Absolutely. I completely agree. As somebody, I've always loved fitness, but
Yeah.
I've had, I have some chronic health conditions where, being the ideal size as marketing would let you have it
Yeah. The
has
BS
never
size.
been, exactly, has never been something achievable for me. And no matter how hard I tried and what I've done, and I have met with countless trainers just like, help me. Like, this is not who I want to be. I want to get myself better. Like, and it's always from a place of, and this sounds really bad, but it's that intimidation, I think, that there's a lot of in the industry, that it's, well, you're the reason that you're overweight. It's everything that you do. There is no genetic, hormonal conditions that can say otherwise. It's, you sit down too much and you don't eat correctly. And that is all anybody has ever said. And for
That's
somebody who is at
horrible.
a really low, yeah, and somebody that's at a low point, that's the last thing you want to hear. That's going to send somebody off the deep end.
Right.
Some people get motivated by that, and I completely get it.
Mm-hmm.
I am not one of those people, and I am to an extent, but not at that time when I was looking for a coach.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I'm like, that is not going to help me get anything because I'm here because I already know that this is my fault. Like, you put that blame on yourself anyways,
Mm-hmm.
even though there could be this condition or that condition or hormone different. And, but so many people don't see that. And I think that was really, really hard for me. And I definitely wanted to be the person to say, coaching and having a trainer does not have to be intimidating. It doesn't have to be that, yeah, I know what you're going through, but kind of not really. Like you had said with your male, coach that you were
Yeah.
thinking. And so it's that level of connection. So I completely get where you're coming from there for sure.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry that you went through that because I think that unfortunately in this industry it is very much media and PR and like all of the stuff that is out there. Social media will tell you that
Yeah.
you have to look or act or be a certain way in order to be a trainer. You have to look or act or be a certain way in order to be considered healthy, and all of that is just BS. And that's actually one thing at Fitchix Academy that we stand for so strongly, right? Is that this industry and like your individual journey is completely different than my individual journey and then anyone else's, just like every single one of your clients. And so if we
Yeah.
don't treat every single person as a human being and not as some sort of like clinical group that tells us that this is what it's supposed to be, then we're doing them an injustice. So we need to be able to treat every single person individually based on not just their physical and like their physical health and well-being, but also their emotional well-being, right? Like it's a full package. A human being is not just about one piece of the puzzle. It's about solving and supporting in all areas. And so
Absolutely.
I think that that's what makes, you know, what makes coaching so powerful and so profound, and also allows for clients to want to adopt something for lifelong journey, as opposed to it just being, I'm just hiring a coach for this 4-week program, right? Because
Yeah,
clients are going to want to work with you forever, because you're basically supporting them in all facets, not just in one facet.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's one of the questions I ask too when I do my consult is I go, what kind of person do you want me to be to help you? If you want me to do the daily check-ins, I have a couple clients that I check in every day. I make sure that they're doing okay, that they've reached their goals for the day, but connect with them as a human being. And I have some that are like, I'm okay with a little bit more tough love, and we can check in on our weekly check-ins, and that's fine. And that there is such a range in how people handle different situations, how they handle a journey like this. A new journey for somebody starting out in their fitness is not easy. And so some people want that little extra cheering section. And I'm so happy I get to be a cheering section because that's pretty great.
Yeah, no, it's so true. And I mean, it even reminds me of, like, you think about, like, I don't know if you ever watched that. It's a very problematic show, but the show that came out way many years ago, The Biggest Loser, right? And that show,
Yeah,
the only reason why I'm bringing that up is the idea, not between like their process, because I think their process is problematic in a lot of ways, but I think it's, when I think about the trainers and how they
yeah,
had different trainers and different personalities, right? They always had like Bob Harper, who was like very loving and like very like kind, like he was firm, but he was more like loving, whereas like Jillian was like in your face yelling. And
yeah.
but different people gravitate to different types of training, different types of processes, different types of methodologies. So it's really important. I love that you ask your clients that, because I think when you ask them, they'll tell you what they need, and then your job is to listen. Your job is to listen to what their feedback, what they're telling you, and then adapt it accordingly. And that is how you support your clients. Amazing. So I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course. Well, and it's funny you bring that up because that's exactly how I use it in my consults. I said, do you want me to be like a Bob Harper or a Jillian Michaels? I do
Oh,
that.
that's hilarious.
And that's exactly how I ask them. And I'm like, there's not one correct way, but it's what works best for you. I don't want to start screaming at you in a session because you don't handle that well. But if that's what drives you, I can try it.
You're like in their face, get down.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's actually so funny. I love
Yeah.
that you use that as your analogy, but it's true. It's so profound. Like, it was so obvious that it was like the yin and the yang, right? Like, it was so obvious of like how opposite they were, but how they were
Yeah.
motivating different people in different ways. So I love that. Now your business, tell us a little bit more about Fearless Fitness and what you're doing, and why you like, I guess, why you created what you have created.
Absolutely. So the name Fearless Fitness is extremely fitting. And the more I talk to people about my journey of getting here, everybody goes, that's the perfect name. You've had to have that forever. And I said, no, actually, I hosted a competition on my Facebook page as to what I should name my business. And it was a friend of mine on Facebook who said, this suits you. And it was just the light bulb went off. And I went, yep, nope, never would have thought of that, but it is perfect.
Oh my gosh, I
And
love that. It just came from a comment. It wasn't even like, it wasn't
yeah,
even something you had thought about. I love that.
I wasn't sure. I was stuck between a couple that didn't really work for me. And I'm like, let's just open it. Let's see what people think about me.
Yeah.
And it couldn't have been any better. And because I think the message is definitely no matter what stage you are in your life, that you can still be fearless and you can take control of your situation to the best of your ability. I understand we can't control everything as human
Of
beings as much
course.
as we would like to, but you can still face things fearlessly. And I think if you put your health and especially your mindset in that right place, I feel like you can become fearless and take on anything. And that's definitely the message that I try to drive with my clients and in my life personally. And that's definitely what we're trying to do. And so I'm sticking mostly with fitness because I love fitness so much. Nutrition is definitely in there. We go over what needs to happen, how to relate to things. Like if you do this, then this helps you along this journey. My true passion is fitness, and I will tell everybody that I love nutrition, and I'm going to further my nutrition knowledge. But fitness is a passion, and mindset is a passion, and so it's definitely it's fitness and counseling is pretty much at this point what we're doing. There's some nutrition and fitness and counseling, and it's an all-encompassed ability to have somebody see that they can do more than where they're at, and to help them get to see that they can also be in a really good place no matter their situation and no matter their size, no matter what others think. It's about them and how they feel inside. And if I can change that even just a little bit, I've won.
I love that. I love that so much. And I think I resonate with that a lot because movement has always been my jam, right? Like Laura in Fit Chicks Academy, like Laura, the other co-founder, she is like nutrition,
Totally.
is like 100% like her obsession. Like she's obsessed with it.
Yeah.
And I totally get it. Like, and I'm interested in nutrition, but fitness for me, it's always been about movement. It's always been about challenging my body and being like, hey, could I do a one-handed handstand? Could I do this? Could I do that?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know. Let's try. Let's learn,
Exactly.
right? Let's teach my body how to do these things that seem impossible in theory, right? And
Yeah.
I know they're not impossible for many people, but for me, it seemed impossible in theory. And so I was always
Yeah.
like, how can I do that? And how can I do that with my clients? And whenever I was teaching my classes, I did the same thing. I would be like, this is not impossible, which is why I would always encourage my clients to start with my level 3 option and then take it down because they would surprise themselves all the time. All the
It's
time,
true.
they'd be like, oh my gosh, I just did a plyometric push up. I never knew I could do that. I'm like, well, you would never know unless you try, right? It's the same
Yeah.
thing I tell my daughter. You don't know that you don't like broccoli until you eat it. Then she knows she doesn't like it. But but it's
It's true.
but it's the same sort of concept, but we sometimes forget that concept. And I think as coaches and as trainers too, we can sometimes want to like just have our clients do the things that they're comfortable with, but sometimes we have to
Yeah.
make them a little uncomfortable to show them how strong they are, how powerful they are, how amazing they are, and make them feel encouraged to even want to go further, right? And
Absolutely.
that's amazing. Now, what would you say has been one of your biggest things, like your maybe not an aha moment, but like the biggest moment since graduating from the fitness and nutrition expert certification, since starting your business, what has been like the one thing that's made your heart feel like it's just like gonna explode? Like you're just like, you're so not only so proud, but just so happy and just like was it the day you signed your first client? Was it the day you got your cert? Was it, I'm just curious to know what that moment was if you think about it,
Uh,
or all
my
of
first client,
them.
I would say my first client signing was huge. I actually signed my first client a month before I graduated.
A month before you
Um,
graduated. That's amazing.
yeah, I finished, actually, it was more than that. I signed my first client the beginning of February, and I finished in March.
So
So
she
it
was just
was,
waiting for you.
yeah. And we did some stuff on the side. She helped me through, some of my practical hours. And it was just, that was an incredible feeling. Although I think the day that I finally got my certification in the mail,
Yeah.
with my shirt,
Yeah.
um,
Or matching
was,
pants.
I cried. I
Oh,
mean, I'm an emotional person to begin with most of the time, but that was just the day that I was like, I did this and I can continue doing things, and that the sky is the limit, and I can be that person that I've wanted to be forever, that I've lost so out of touch with. And so I think, yeah, those 2 days are probably the ones that stand out. But yeah, getting my certification, I was bouncing off the walls and I was in tears. I think my husband was working out of town, and I'm just like, you'll never guess what I just got. And he was bawling. It was that was definitely one of the most incredible moments that I have had to date, for sure.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much. And I mean, I'm so honored to have you here today to share your story. So thank you again, because I think
Thank
what you're
you.
doing and the message that you're sharing and, sharing that everyone needs to be fearless in their pursuit of their own health and their own self, right? And that's kind of the message that you're sharing. And I think it's so important. It's so empowering. So I'm grateful that you've created what you've created. I'm grateful that you were able to find yourself again along this journey to be able to make the impact you're going to make in this world. So I'm so
Thank
grateful
you.
for that. And
I'm
now,
grateful for you and everybody here.
Oh, thank you. And now, why don't you share with our listeners, just for anyone who is listening, who's interested in learning more about what you're offering? Because I know that you do offer in person, but you also offer online programming. So, for
I
anyone
do.
who's interested, of course, you could check our show notes. It'll be in the show notes as well that you can connect with Dani. But, Dani, why don't you just share a little bit more about how they can connect with you directly?
Absolutely. So my website is fearlessfitness.ca. My email is Dani@fearlessfitness.ca. I'm always on my email, so reach out anytime. I have questions and answers on my website. I am on all socials at Fearless Fitness by Dani. Yes, I've changed them all. Um, they were different things to start. And I'm like, no, that doesn't make sense. You can find me everywhere. I am the generation that constantly lives on their cell phone. So if you reach out and I don't get back to you within like an hour, there's a problem. I am I seem to be very quick at responding. Definitely those are the best ways to get in touch with me. So socials and my email. But
Awesome.
those are the ones.
That's amazing. And for everyone who's listening, definitely make sure you check out the show notes because there is a special gift in there from Dani as well. So check it out. Dani, thank you so much for joining me today, for sharing
Thank
your
you.
story. I'm so grateful. And of course, for everybody listening, check the show notes for more information on what Dani is offering. And if you are ready to get started on your health journey, make sure you go to fitchicksacademy.com, where you can learn more about our certification programs. And just the last thing I want to ask you, Dani, for anyone who's listening right now, who's thinking of getting started, what would you say to them? What would be your message to them if they're thinking about getting certified with us?
Don't wait. Just jump for it. You're never gonna have the right time. And I think that was my concern. I was waiting for the right time. When things settle down, when this happened, when that happened, just
Yeah,
jump in. You won't regret it.
amazing.
It's life
Awesome.
changing.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And everyone, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
listening. And we will see you again next week on Fit Chicks Chat. Bye,
Amazing.
everyone.